Hey everybody, I'm back and I'm here to showcase a few of the new features that I've been working on for Behemoth. It's been a long time since the last devlog, but I've always been terrible at keeping up with showing people what I've been working on. Therefore, this is a long overdue video. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump straight into it. First of all, last time I've shown you, I believe it was the scene manager, which is pretty much being able to put objects around the screen and pretty much have them make up a map. You're going to notice a few different things now. For once, there is a small button here, and you're going to see what that is in a second. And there is another screen right here. Again, you're going to see what that is in just a sec. So, I'm going to be loading a scene I've been working on just to save some time, and I'll show you a few of the things that I've implemented. I think I'm going to be using this one. Alright, so this right here is a scene of I believe a room or an inn or something like that. So first of all, you are going to notice that there's a bunch of things over here, and this is pretty much the hierarchy editor, I guess. This is a place where you can see all the objects in your map, and for now there's only mapping objects here, but you can also see sounds, and in the future you can even see lights and particle effects and stuff like that. You can use this to browse the attributes of each of the elements. For instance, let's take the table right here, right? If you're gonna go ahead here and look for a table, we're gonna find it here. And if we click it, we're going to get a bunch of options, one of them being to change the name. You can just change it to wooden table, for instance. And gets updated. And you have attributes such as the position, elevation, how high up the table is, which is pretty important for a sprite stacking engine, since this is pretty much how you control the z-axis. And you of course have stuff such as scale and rotation. Cool stuff. One of the things I like the most being that you can change the offset of each of the vertex individually. What does this mean? Let's take a simpler object, right? Let's go ahead and put in a big box right here. And you can see right here, lidless box. Cool. So if you go ahead and select the lidless box and go ahead and choose vertex offsets, we're going to see a bunch of fields pop up on the right side. What does this mean? So, the way this works currently, you can think of each of the corners of the box, or each of the corners of whatever object you're working with, as one point. If I'm not mistaken, this is going to be point number 1, then point number 2, point number 3, and point number 4. I believe this is the right order, or it might be like 1, 2, 3, 4. I could never remember them. But yeah, either way, like if you have each one of these points be determined or be named in the way I showed you, what you can do is take each one of these points and kind of shift them around. So what does this mean? Let's say like we have this box, right? And we want to make it very wide, but we don't want to go ahead and create a new object. We're too lazy for that. So what we can do is go ahead and look over the first point, let's say, point 1 right here, and simply make it elongate over there, off to the left. And this is also where another feature comes in handy. Wait, just a sec. What comes in handy, which is the rotation widget right here. Sometimes when you're working with rotation, it's a bit difficult to keep track of the axis, and especially because we're working with fields where you select manually, type manually what the position you would like to be. It's very useful to keep a track of where the axes are. So in our case, let's say we were rotated like this, and I say we want to elongate the box a bit like this, right? We look at the x-axis. So the x-axis is going to be positive this way, and it's going to be negative this way. So we would like to take the first point, which is x1, and pretty much deduct just a bit from it. Let's just say like -1 meter. And there you go. and we get a bit of a distortion effect going on. And you can kind of see how this could be quite powerful. You could shape any object into any shape you would like. And yeah, the cool thing about it is that the texture also gets stretched out automatically. And you can kind of see this being used here, for instance. Like this bit of stone right here is basically a stone wall that I've just taken and resized and stretched accordingly. Alright, so if you want to take the other edge as well, I believe this is going to be X2, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just try and change this one as well. Yep, and there you go. And you get to stretch the whole thing. Kind of cool, eh? But yeah, let's go ahead and delete this. And of course, you can have some other basic stuff such as cloning objects. So if I were to go, for instance, for the sword right here, and I would clone it and move it a bit to the right, which is B plus X. So let's say 1.65. You can see that the sword has been cloned alongside with all the attributes, so like rotation, scale, and all that. Let's get rid of this real quick. Cool, so this is pretty much the hierarchy editor as well as the inspector. This is how you're going to be changing objects around. Let's move on. One of the other features that I've added is sounds. So now if you go ahead and select the sound, this little thing is going to be popping up. And what this does is allows you to change the position of the source of the sound. So for instance, right here, that's not exactly what I want to do, but whatever. Let's say that in the middle of this room, there is some weird sci-fi sound going on. And you can see that if the mouse is close to the source, the sound is also going to be quite strong. But the thing about this is that the farther away you are from the sound, it also tends to fade out. There you go. So there's actually quite a few options we can look into right here. One of the attributes for this is the radius. Of course, we can control how large this radius is. Let's give it 2 meters instead of 5. There you go, and it's only going to be active for these 2 meters right here. But we also have a delay, a random delay, and a loop. The loop is pretty self-explanatory, like should the sound keep replaying after it's done. But we also have a delay, which is, you can think of it as an initial delay. It's a fixed time that gets added whenever the sound replays. So whenever the sound first plays, this delay is going to be playing. So let's say 1 second. You can see we entered the radius, and the sound only started after 1 second. The same thing applies when the sound is looping as well. So after each and every loop, the sound is going to be delayed by 1 second. There is also a random delay that can be added on top of that. So if we change 0 and we select a random delay of 5, this means that every time the sound is played, as well as the first time that the sound is played, a random number between 1, or actually 0, and 5 is going to be chosen and is going to be used as a delay. This one was a bit on the longer side. So that's another thing I've been working on. I haven't really gotten to experiment too much with sounds, but one could use attributes such as looping or delaying or even random delaying to create effects such as like atmosphere sounds, I guess, ambient sounds rather, or even effects such as walking on the floor, I guess. But yeah, let's get rid of this real quick. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you the last 2 features I've been working on. First of all is the navigation screen, I guess. And once you press on the navigation screen, you can see the whole screen turn green, while some areas are still highlighted in orange. This is actually quite self-explanatory. So when you're looking around or when you have characters added in your game, some areas are going to be passable while some areas are going to be blocked by walls or whatever, by objects. This is pretty much how we handle collisions in the engine. What you're going to do is use this grid right here to select which areas of the game are passable, green, or which ones are blocked, red. And based on this information, we can add some collider data to the map, as well as some pathfinding data. I'm also thinking of using a similar approach to simulate lights. So this way we would know that this would be a wall, and we could use this to cast shadows, for instance. The way you edit it is very straightforward. You just click on a square, it turns the opposite passability, I guess. You can also use control if you keep it clicked. You can use a detail brush as well, so you can change smaller areas. Cool, and that's pretty much it for the navigation right here. And I think that finally, I think this should be the last thing, would be the scene editor, which would allow you to create different scenes. I think this is the same way it works in Unity. I'm not exactly sure. But let's say that you want to have a game world in which you're going to have a outside map. Let's say that you're going to be modeling a town, and then you're going to have different maps for each and every one of the buildings. So this right here would be a building of a room, let's say, a scene of a room, or rather, let's rename this to a inn, and you can see it gets updated. And let's say we want to make the town as well. So you're initially walking around in town, and when you touch a door, you're going to get teleported to this inn right here. So what you would do is go ahead and add a scene and select a name for it, which should be, I guess, town. Go ahead and press add, and there we go. We have a completely new scene, and we can go ahead and create our town right here. I don't really have assets for creating a town yet, but yeah, you can imagine. Let's select a box here or whatever. And you can imagine that when you press on in, the whole scene is going to get loaded along with all the objects. And apart from that, I also already showed you a bit of this feature, but I might as well walk over it again. You can save and load projects as well. So if we go ahead and save this as showcase and close the project, we will now be able to load the exact same project. And you can see it still has the room, and it still has the scenes and our old town scene as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I've been up to for the past month or so. Currently, I still have to do some work on vertex offsets. I want to do some improvements here. And after that, I'm going to start working on units, AI, and I'm thinking of lights as well. But yeah, either way, until then and until the next showcase, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you very soon. Take care.